Hello, welcome back. We are in chapter 9. We're starting off infinite series. An infinite series is a list of infinite numbers that are being added together. So, for example, in this diagram, we have a 1 by 1 square. So you know the area already is a 1. So then we're going to take half of that square and then half of the remaining and then half of the remaining, half of the remaining. So if I start off with half the square, half of the remaining, half of the remaining, and you add up all of those pieces being halved, that sum is a 1 because we know it started with the area of a 1 by 1 square. If I keep having a smaller piece, you just have a smaller addition to add on to it. But at the same time, if we have that same series or similar series, I don't know about same, we start with 1 and then we increase one value in the denominator, we're making it smaller, but it's not making it smaller fast enough where we know what that sum is going to be. This sum is actually an infinite sum. It's going to keep getting larger and larger and larger. Another confusing example would be, what if you have a plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1? So if you stop at one spot, you think the sum is going to be a 1. If you add on another term, then you think the sum is 0. Then if you add on another term, then again you think it's 1. So it's not like we're getting closer to a value of a 0, or in the square example where if we take a spot check, we can tell our sum is getting closer to 1 because we're adding pieces closer together. Here our sum is either going to be a 1 or a 0, and it's not approaching anything. It's not converging to a value. So quick notes here. Part A, we must understand the rules for finite, right, where you know there's a specific number of terms, do not apply to an infinite. So if I have an infinite, it means the number of terms keep going. It's not going to stop ever. If it stopped, of course, we can find the sum because we have a particular number of terms. We can add them up, and that's going to be fine. So a finite, right, a specific number, is always going to produce a real number sum. Where if we have an infinite sum, where there's an infinite number of terms, it's going to produce, so that's what we're going to talk about. It kind of depends on what that series or that sum is going to look like. All right, page 2 over here. So we have an infinite series can be expressed this way. So if I have my first term, so they're going to use a lot of subscripts here. Then I add on my second term, my third term, and then dot, dot, dot. And they have just a general nth term. So they say that as an nth term. We could write this as sigma, right? Sigma means we're going to add stuff up. So they're starting at I minus 1. So then when I put in my first term, it's going to adjust from there. And then I'm going to stop at an infinite number of terms. So going from there, we could have a partial sum. So as in the last example, I said if we stop here, we would have a sum of a 1. Then we have a sum of a 0. We're choosing different stopping points. That's not doing the entire sum. That's doing part of the sum. So if I have partial sum, capital S sub 1, that would represent adding up just the first term. Partial sum S sub 2 is going to be the sum if you add up the first two. Partial sum S sub 3, right? You add up the first 3 terms. Therefore, my partial sub n is going to add up the first n terms of that series. All right, so this is going to be vocabulary heavy. I don't know about mathematically challenging, but it's going to be different for sure. So now we're going to say if the limit of the partial sums approaches a real number, then the series will converge to a real number. All right, so if I take my limit of my partial sums and that is going to approach, let's say, 1, then I know that I'm going to add up to 1. Otherwise, then my series of numbers is going to diverge, which means we're not going to have a sum. It's going to keep getting larger and larger, or smaller and smaller depending on the negative sign. All right, so then over here, so we have a 1, then we have a minus 2, then we're going to add 3, then we're going to minus 4. So if we use our partial sums here to see what we have here, so my S sub 1 is going to be a 1. My S sub 2, right, I'm going to add up those first two, is a negative 1. My S sub 3, I could go back here, right, and add up these three terms, or I could take my s sub 2 that I just did and then just add on my third term, a sub 3. So then if I have negative 1 plus 3, that's just a positive 2. So then s sub 4 again then would be my sum that I just had plus my fourth term, and my fourth term now is a negative 4, so now I'm down to a negative 2. And then my s sub 5, right, now I'm going to add on 5, so now I'm back to 3. So now if I took my limit as n approaches infinity of my s sub n, okay, so then what's going to happen here? So if I wrote out my list of my sum, there's my s sub 1, my s sub 2, my s sub 3, my s sub 4, my s sub 5. It does not look like it's approaching anything, right? We're going to go from negative 1, and then we're going to go to 2. Now we're back to negative, and then we're back to positive. Then if I keep going, right, if I put my negative 6 in there, now we're going to go back to negative. So it looks like it's going to go from a positive 1 to a negative. Then I change to a 2, then I change to a negative, then I change to a 3, then I change to a negative. Just because you see a pattern doesn't mean that it's converging, because my sums here, they're not going to the same value. So this would be a divergent series. All right, now it says use partial sums here to tell me if it converges or diverges. Well, the 25 on top really isn't doing much here. So if I have my s sub 1, I'm noticing, right, there's a series of zeros here. So I think I'm going to go 10 squared, then s sub 2, right, I'm going to have my 25 over 10 squared plus my 25 over 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 to the fourth just means it's going to be super small. And then my s sub 3 is going to be, right, 10 squared, 10 to the fourth, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I got 10 to the sixth. So from a decimal perspective, if we have 25 hundredths, then my 25 would go there. If I've got 25 ten thousandths, and then, right, I've got my hundredths, thousandths, and then I would have 25 here. And then for the next one, it would just be a 25 there. So then I would just keep on adding 25s based on this pattern. All right, so again, what am I approaching? I guess I'm just adding on more and more over here. Technically, you are getting to be a larger number, right? But your pattern is... So now we can obviously see this is going to be a repeating decimal. So then going back to looking at our terms, we can see that we're multiplying by 1 over 100, right, to move from one to the other, right, because we're adding 2 zeros each time. So since we're multiplying by 1 over 100, it's going to fit the form of a geometric series, which is going to be pretty common for us. You're going to want to make sure that you know how to utilize this one. So our geometric series, the form is where you have your starting value a, and then you have some sort of multiplier r, and r is raised to a power depending on what term you're at. So if you have this structure, then in order to find the sum of your geometric, it's going to have the formula of a over 1 minus r. So in this problem here, after we figured out what was happening, our a is our first term, so that's 25 over 100, and our r is our multiplied factor, so that's 1 over 100. So then our sum then is 25 over 100 over 1 minus 1 over 100. So that's going to give us 25 over 100 over 99 over 100. So right, if you flip and cancel out, those are going to cancel out. So then our sum is going to be 25 over 99. So if you write that out, or you consider why there's a repeating decimal, That's how we're getting that decimal. You can have a series of terms here, create that same decimal quantity. So to answer the question, yes, it's going to converge. All right, so now we're going to look at example 3 here. So now that we already had one example of a geometric series, let's look to see if this is also geometric series. So moving from 1/2 to 1/4, you could say that you're multiplying by a half. Then moving from 1/4 to 1/8, you can also say you're multiplying by a half, and it works for every term of the series. So then that tells us that our R is a half, our A is a half. So then my sum is A over 1 minus R. So then I have a 1/2 over 1 minus a half. So then I have a half over a half, which is 1. And then if you go back and look at these terms, this is the exact setup we had for that graphic on the 1 by 1 square, where you take half of the half of the half. So we already knew that that answer was a 1. Now we just solved it from a geometric series instead of from a graphic. That's all we have for packet A, and then we're going to move on to B next. Thank you.